I gave ChatGPT all of the information about my brand so that when it's giving me ideas, it can tailor it to me.
Once you understand what to tell ChatGPT, all you need to do is give that script to the person who's going to press enter. This success story, this blueprint, however we want, we still really haven't figured this part out. But Moose actually brought this to my attention as far as talking about it on the podcast, where there is an individual who is called Mr. Grateful on social media. And he made an announcement a bit back saying, I'm going to use ChatGPT to grow my following to 100K, and has documented the process. And he is now one of the leading AI influencers out there right now. And it is something we really have to break down. Now, Moose, I would love your side first, why we're breaking down from your end about Mr. Grateful.
Yeah, I mean, first off, the challenge that he set out that captured people's hearts and minds to want to pay attention to what he's doing. His goal was very simple. Hey, ChatGPT, can you help me gain 100,000 followers in as little time as possible? That was it. Very clear, simple challenge that he set out. And as soon as he set out to do this, the attention, the followers, the views started to flow in. And then when I listened to him speak on that podcast episode, I said, this dude is really intelligent and is very well in the know-how of the inner workings of how AI works, and how it was a different dialogue and conversation. So I said, yeah, let's dive into this a little bit on the pod.
Okay, so shout out first and foremost to Rebel Road Show. This is where the interview came from. So please definitely check out the full interview. It's a really good one. But what I learned off top about this success story is that we are all using ChatGPT wrong. Okay? So the thing is that people who saw this announcement of, hey, I'm going to use ChatGPT to grow my following, and they saw the success of it, they tried to do the same thing, and they were getting mid to horrible results. And so when asked, how do you use ChatGPT? How did it give you the results to get 100K followers and more? This is what he said.
It's good data in, good data out. So you have to give it the information that you want it to reference. I gave ChatGPT all of the information about my brand. I told it who I was, the voice that I wanted to speak in, so that when it's giving me ideas, it can tailor it to me. I gave it my metrics. So I went back for the past 30 days and I gave it the metrics of every single post, and then I transcribed every single one of those posts and uploaded it. So then it can connect these dots and say, okay, I see the structure of this type of post here. I see how it performed. And now I can give you more tailored results based on what's performing well versus what isn't.
Moose, I would love your take on this first.
I mean, just off of that, and I think that was in the first couple of minutes of the interview, and I said, I'm sorry, what did you just do? Like, I just thought that was brilliant. Again, different than what I've heard anyone who is using ChatGPT or AI in general really just talk about it that way. And so to spend time to really use the technology the way it's designed to be used, or get to know it in a way and say, all right, let me dedicate the time to do that. Now, here's one of the things that stuck out to me. Of course, the self-development part of that just screams out at me. You can't give ChatGPT that information about your brand if you don't already know clearly the identity of your brand. Right? Good. Like, you can say, oh, I'm going to go do that. Okay, well, tell us about your brand. Yeah, people. And what else?
All
right. So to me, it was the clarity around, I know what my goal is, and he speaks about it in a little bit more detail in the episode where he says, hey, I was starting an agency the agency wasn't doing so well. And so I wanted to just bring attention to my design work so that I can get a good position, whether I can network. I didn't want to just go get another job at another agency and enter as a regular applicant. So this was my approach. That was the idea that came to me to take on this journey. And then, of course, it set him on a whole nother path. So, really cool thing from what it was and what it turned out to be. But the lesson I will definitely highlight there is you have to know your brand. You have to know the information about yourself and your brand so that you can properly feed it to the machine or ChatGPT.
Yeah, I think that's super important, because that's the first thing he did was like, yo, let me tell you about me first, right? And then I'll give you the stats on everything else, because then you can combine what works and what doesn't. So I completely agree with you with that. I think from just a beginner level of getting into this AI thing, because I know some people heard that and probably was a little bit scared of like, oh my God, like I'm giving ChatGPT all the information. What are they going to do with this, right? And going with the personal development too, he also said something that really opened my mind about that's kind of a selfish mindset. That if we finally have a tool that is going to help people that possibly didn't have the opportunity to learn certain skills, the opportunity to have a brainstorm buddy, because you always have to get in the rooms or be in these different groups that you can't necessarily afford. And there's this tool that is allowing them to come from beginner to mid to possibly get into, high levels. Why not do that? So that's one thing. Now, he did say, don't give like classified stuff. That's not one of those things, but the more information, the better. Now, getting into details about ChatGPT and breaking down exactly what we need, we have to look at the end goal, right? And so for him, that was 100K, right? 100K followers, which he made. I think he's at 180, I believe, from when this is recorded, right? 180K. But he made that, I think, 100K from 3,000 to 100K in about 2-3 weeks max, right? Using ChatGPT 3.5, right? Not even ChatGPT 4. This was ChatGPT 3.5. And he literally just talked to it. Hey, this is who I am, right? You're going to be my agent. And this is who I am. And let me give you about 30 days of data that you can see. And then after he did that and he started creating the content, he would give the results back to ChatGPT. He wouldn't just like, okay, what's next? What's next? Right? Because then when you take the information and you give them more based off what they gave, they can, like it's a person, it can modify itself for the next results. So we look at ChatGPT and we say, yo, am I giving it enough information? Even though right now with ChatGPT 4, it has web browsing, it's still not the greatest as far as searching, right? As far as literally web browsing, it's not really the greatest. The more information we give AI, the better. And so, shoot, I was looking at doing something like this with our YouTube. I'm about to tell them everything about Nicky and Moose. I'm about to give the data as far as the YouTube and see what some of the suggestions that it actually creates for us. I think that opens people's mind to like, the AI is here to get rid of some of the tasks that we don't necessarily want to do. Some of us don't want to do research on these different platforms. There's so many different platforms to worry about, but we have this new AI thing that is going to be able to do that research for us be able to do some video scripts, be able to write the captions, be able to let us know possible good times based off some of our analytics. The more that we give it, the more that it becomes the assistant that everybody is advertising that it is. But some people are just doing mid questions or inputs as far as, hey, give me 7 blogs about a poetry book. Write an ebook for me about launch situations. And you get basic situations. Now, what he did say in this interview that I want everybody to catch as well is AI is here to enhance and not to replace. So even though ChatGPT gave him some scripts, he didn't read it verbatim. He took the foundation and still put his own swag to it, still put his own style to it, added certain words based off his experience. So it would say maybe find some design tools in your next post that we could create different lists. So you can have a listicle for the next post. Cool. He would still have to do the research on what are the top designer tools that he's going to talk about. So it doesn't necessarily tell you everything and replace you. It's going to give you the foundation that is going to enhance your output, that's going to direct you way better on what to look for and what not to look for. So we have to be very clear using these tools that it's not perfect. It's not going to replace us. It's not going to make us lazy, because there's still work to do once it gives us the output. And those people who actually put the work is going to stand out. He put in the work. He took what it suggested and he found the right tools. The most popular post that he did was when he turned himself into a Pixar character, right? One of the Disney characters. And he broke down exactly how to do that. Now, ChatGPT told him, hey, do this as a Pixar character, right? But he had to find the resources and the tools on how to exactly do that. He had to take a picture of himself. He had to put it in Mid-Journey. He had to find the right prompt to create that Pixar character. Then he had to take that picture and put it into DID. And once he did that animates the picture, and he had to find the script and write it out so you can actually hear from his voice of what of him speaking as the Disney character. There's a lot of things he still had to do. ChatGPT didn't create that post. He did.
Right.
So, yeah. I geeked out a little bit, but
yeah. No, great insight though. Absolutely. Yeah. Cause I don't, you're right. So for those listening, don't think like, oh, ChatGPT just got this person 100,000 followers. No, he really got for himself with the help of ChatGPT.
That's a fact. Now, there is a very dope part that he also talked about, which is how AI is going to help build a brand funnel. And the next step is figuring out how with AI can I create a business. And I thought this would be really good because Moose likes to talk about this. And so let's hear what he has to say.
There's a funnel, and at the top of the funnel is headlines. 100K in 30 days by AI social media agent. Cool, that's gonna get your attention, right? Next stage is then realizing, okay, there's some more work that goes on behind here. There's kind of a relationship that you have with AI. Okay, I'm opening myself up to that idea. And then you get into a field of, oh, well, I actually have to make content. I have to edit things and I have to do that. Okay, well, what goes into the editing process, And well, why are you even editing and making the content in the first place? Are you trying to sell something? Like, what are you doing? Okay, well, now AI can help me with my landing page. And then the next phase of this at the bottom of the funnel is how can you build a business with AI? Let's remove followers. That's just the distribution channel.
Yeah.
Are we able to build a business? Can we build an enterprise using AI?
Can we build a business with AI? Mo?
This guy, man, I tell you. So I love the breakdown of the different layers that go into getting to what exactly you're trying to do, right? In the last several weeks, especially, you've heard me say, I have realized my mistake in allowing passion to cloud my judgment in the business world. And it was almost a failure to realize that, hey, passion is also an emotion. And when emotion is present, logic is absent. All right. You're not really thinking, okay, I like this. I love this. I'm super passionate about it. But what does that mean for the consumer? And so that's a really great breakdown to show you the different layers that go into how you too should think about your brand. Okay, followers or social media community members, whatever, however you want to call them, or subscribe, whatever it is. Okay, that's just a method of distribution. These are people who are now paying attention to me. I have access to them. It's just as if you were to have an email list of 100,000 people. I mean, maybe they're not as valuable because, email open rates, et cetera, but you can compare it to the algorithm. My point in all that to say is, you can see the different layers that were broken down. It wasn't just done out of, I just think it's something cool to do. It was a great idea. It captured attention. It was a challenge. And we've seen people, and I love, and I'm sure you listened to this part as well in the episode where he talks about the challenge model to capture people's attention. Mm-hmm. Right? It's something that people usually want to be a part of, because what happened was others took on the challenge, I think in almost 100 different countries around the world. And that initial video got almost 1 million views. And so it was just a self journey that included a challenge, but then others took part of it. And I think that added more steam, to the movement. And then of course, the rest of it to say, all right, now this is all great, but can we actually build a business here? Now, I'm curious, of course, your answer. My answer is always yes. The real question becomes, well, what type of business? But I believe that's a slightly different conversation. But the breakdown, y'all, that's the part that I would say, Nick's like, really play back his breakdown and think through your brand, your business, the way he just spoke about it, and ask yourself that question. The thing that I kind of alluded to, is passion blinding your strategic movements within your brand and business?
I like that. So from my side, one, I like how he mentioned content first. It always starts with content first. I'm just going to put that out there. Any
Correct.
idea, business, whatever, you got to have content. So he breaks that down to, then he gets to the business side. I'm going to give it a different spin of whether that AI can help you grow the business or make a business out of it. I'm going to look at it as probably the answer that a lot of creators are looking for, where we continuously hear that if you are a pure creator, just all my creatives that just love to do that, this could possibly be your business partner that you were looking for, right? Because as you heard in the beginning, it's not necessarily, well, it didn't say it. In the interview, he definitely said it. It's not necessarily the greatest when it comes to creatives, like giving you the actual thing to create. It's still, with all the information, still very vague. It's still going to need your expertise, and those people who are using it know that it's very basic from that standpoint. But from a business side, from the information that you're lacking, right? From when we get to the landing page side, when we get to some of the roles and responsibilities that are going to be needed to your possible business, to how to handle possible brands and sponsorship follow-up emails, from different SOPs that could possibly be written. Now, the thing that you're lacking, it could possibly help you figure out the internal and external side of building a business. Now, when it comes to Mr. Grateful and in his process of, okay, now I have all this attention with these followers. Now what do I do from a business side, right? I'm thinking, how do you automate that? And how do you duplicate that for other people, right? If other people are trying to grow their social media following, you now have the blueprint with AI that people will either, one, bring you into their companies and say, hey, how do I do this? Two, you can do it from a template standpoint, right? Three, but taking all these different ideas, I don't want to give too much because Mr. Grateful, if you want to come over here, we can talk about it all day, right? So, but taking that idea and then putting it into ChatGPT, now they can say, okay, cool, you have this idea for a business. This is the success. Hey, these are all if he's big on giving stats, here's all the stats. Now, how do I monetize this? What kind of business can this be created based off the information you know about me, based off the information you know is given to the content? What kind of business can be created out of this? And it could be your AI business partner that will then tell you what type of employees that you need to get, what brand deals you're supposed to get, what kind of products, services that are suggested, and you put your spin to it, because now that's the creative side of making it come to life. So I think for me, how I received that was, this is going to be a great business partner that you didn't necessarily know you had. And then for my business-minded people, ChatGPT is going to be great for you to think about the creative side that you probably lack of.
Wow. Yeah, I think to talk about it from a partnership standpoint, that changes the game a lot. It's crazy. Like, can you imagine traditional teams they would no longer, I mean, literally teams may not exist the way we're accustomed to seeing them. You know, it's like the idea of teams, maybe that won't be a thing anymore, because it's like, well, I got my team, but it's a person, but it's not a real person. I know it sounds weird. And in the beginning, I feel like that's going to be the conversation. So yeah, I got a team of machines, not people, like that kind of thing. So yeah, that's interesting, Nix. That's
But we heard,
very
what
interesting.
What was that podcast? The All-in-One, the one with the 4 or 5 rich guys?
All in podcast.
Okay. So they said, one of them was like, at some point, those businesses that have about 40 employees is going to have 4. Because if you think about the, how do I put this? Once you understand what to tell ChatGPT, once you understand what to tell the AI, if you use the Google version, all you need to do is give that script to the person who's going to press enter. You know, because you don't have to be the one to do it all the time, but you may need to have somebody dedicated to take over 10 other people's jobs.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, I do believe that once people are educated on how to use these AIs right, and it only takes one person in the business, like, oh, just here, I wrote this all out for you. Press enter. And then all the information that I give you, just type it in there. This one is already my assistant. This one is already my social media manager. This one's already my project manager. That whole 9. Boom. Just press enter.
You know what's a path of monetization that is not talked about often, because it almost looks at it's looked at as maybe out of reach or just a little bit too difficult to do. It's really becoming more so my approach now on a very almost tactical, strategic scale. But I look at, almost think of a balance between private equity or M&As, or what's called mergers and acquisitions, with agencies, right? So that that creative agency model, helping you to build the business in exchange for a percentage. Typically, they exist in two different areas. I think with the help of AI, those are going to become one place, right? So we are either seeking talent, and we are helping with the creative side with the help of the additional tools that are available, as well as helping you to scale the business in whatever means are appropriate. And we're taking a percentage of the return, whether that might be an equity or a fee, like a management fee, which way it will go. But that also, I think, could be a path of monetization. Again, may seem a little bit more complex just because of the names when you hear terms like private equity and M&As and all those things. But it really is exactly what I just explained. Hey, can I find the right talent? Can I seek the right talent? Can I find the Mr. Grateful before he really blew up and say, man, I think a creator like this person has great potential? Or even now, do I have the path to help him scale, whether it be through connections, or is there a gap in a specific creator's business that I see that I know I can fill the void on with some of the resources that I've acquired? So I think that's another area that I can see AI providing a path of monetization to brands and businesses through that agency route, but not just strictly creative. It's almost the perfect match of creative and business coming together to help create the creative themselves, the influencer or the content creator, take it up another notch.
Facts. So definitely follow Mr. Grateful. Really good dude. Even, oh man, what was his key takeaway? He had a key takeaway. Like his motto was like, great fun for today, prepared for tomorrow. Something to that. Like, it was so positive. He's like just so dope. So thank you, Mr. Grateful, for giving us so much value. Well, giving that podcast, and we break it down. So much value. Thanks. Because I'm actually going to go a little bit more heavier on ChatGPT of, giving it more information. And then I was watching VidCon, which I really think we should go in September because it's going to Baltimore. That's another side combo.
It's close. Yeah.
Yes, last week of September. But one of the big people from OpenAI gave a tip, like, don't tell ChatGPT to give you something. Tell ChatGPT to help you write it. So we'll ask you a whole bunch of questions to help you improve your prompts. So it'll be like, yo, help me write a business proposal for this. Help me write the Instagram caption that talks about this. So like it's been a very good week to learn about ChatGPT. So yeah.